first off, I'm curious to where these tests are actually being conducted.
These tests are being conducted there in many facilities. Some,
What is it in the United States, out of country?
no, it's usually in the United States. They have these facilities and they do test them. They actually also get these tests. They actually, some people they work for like actually kidnap animals like from Africa, South Africa, and they use them for animal experiments.
All right, so I found, during my studies, that there are specific animal activist committees that, needing to approve the tests for these facilities before they can even be conducted, they have to be humane and appropriate for the animal to undergo. So, if these committees are approving these acts or these treatments of animals so poorly, then how is this happening?
You can ask the PTA, it's known around international, and they come to research because they grab this information. It's not like that. It's not like that. This is just all a big joke.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just curious because it is. See, actually, I don't have speeches. Research on non-human animals may not be conducted until the protocol has been reviewed by an appropriate animal care committee, typically an institutional animal care and use committee, to ensure the procedures are appropriate and humane.
And where's that source that you're quoting? Is that any kind of federal law?
I think it's a federal website.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so what do you say about that, Andrew?
Okay, so as I said in the animal acts, right, they don't concentrate on they only concentrate on just cages, toys, animals. They don't really concentrate on just like what's happening to the animals. And there's no. I really read an article about it.
Okay,
So do you believe that this could be occurring, under the table?
It's been occurring for like years and years. Then it's like since like the early 1900s.
okay, any more before I start?
Before.
All right, because that's been 222. Let me just ask you this. If it's been going on since the 1900s, okay, so we can assume then, that yes, not just assume, we know that animal abuse has happened. But Ryan has a good point, that maybe like the Drace test, they no longer use the Drace test, or where they put the drops in rabbits' eyes. They used to do that. Do you have proof that they still do that? Any evidence that they
No,
still
I
do
didn't
that?
find out, but I know like they are still doing tests on these animals. Like I said, I know like you don't use that certain research, but you look at the animals, like what Mike Parn explained about when they're in cages, and literally they're not getting any food whatsoever, and they're like not getting any painkillers. And plus, what they do to these animals after they're dead, they just throw them out, like dump them. There's one picture in the article which I'm passing around that has that, and it's no joke. So if he was said that it was not supposed to be allowed, then that means that most of those facilities would already just removed completely. And this has been still happening. It's absolutely just really just
Yeah, and
shocking.
I'm not arguing
Yeah, I
that.
know,
I'm
I
not
know,
arguing
but
that. Let me
it's-
ask you one more thing, a hypothetical. If you were going to, if you had a terminal illness, or maybe your child did, and, or your parent had a stroke, and it was only through animal testing that they could find a cure.
Okay, let me ask you this. And there's also aspect of that, and let me tell you that. From an alternative, which they did, they actually studied human populations, like connection with heart disease, cholesterol, and also linked to smoking cancer about animal testing. So, that's really just impossible to just think about. You can just study it, and you don't need animals to test for that.
Okay.
Plus, aspects are different.
We're running out of time, so save that thought, and we'll see if we have time at the end. Okay, good. Now, Ryan, your turn.
Hard to look good after that. Alright, so animal testing and experimentation is the use of non-human animals to experiment to help discover safe usages for drugs, field studies, observations, and simple research. I mean, there's a variety of tests done to a variety of different animals, but I mean, the end purpose is to get a conclusive answer or result to what you're trying to find or cure whatever's happening. The current laws and standards of animal rights during experimentation are held extremely high already and should not be subject to further restrictions because their current moral values are already high enough. Holding standards higher than they already are would diminish possibilities of discovering cures and conducting effective research for the future. According to the guidelines for ethical conduct in the care and use of non-human animals in research, research on non-human animals may not be conducted until the protocol has been reviewed by an appropriate animal care committee. Typically, an institutional animal care and use committee, the IACUC, to ensure that the procedures are appropriate and humane. If these standards would be held any higher, there would be no experimentations left to be done, according to this law. I mean, this result in the testing of only humans, endangering humans ourselves and our well-beings, when, I mean, easily a common house rat that you snap up in a little trap, it'd be suffering in that trap, it'd be suffering in the laboratory. I'm not saying they suffer in the laboratory, but I mean, either way, it's going to happen. According to the PIR Partners and Animal Safety Research Team, the well-being of laboratory animals is extremely important because any pain or fear that can trigger complex hormonal and neurological processes that alter physiological responses that can alter and invalidate results. So most of these animal rights laws and acts that I've seen are they're mostly held for preserving rights of wild animals or endangered animals, mostly. Cecile Dogan, an animal rights activist and professional debater on the topic, who wrote A Defense on Animal Rights, said that she recognizes by supporting the affirmative, she bears the risk of harming human interests and health, but that her debate is restricted only for the rights of experimentation on wild animals. The act of experimentation on a common animal that's killed on a daily basis, like a mouse from a poison pill, a lizard on a sticky trap, something like that. These are permissible when solving a conflict that would harm both parties, humans and animals, thus leading to the experimentation on animal with the least important interests. Both humans and animals would be hurt by further restrictions of animal experimentation. Animal experimentation is crucial to saving human lives. The testing of toxins on animals help prevent accidental deaths of humans every day by providing treatments that can be administered immediately at your own home. Orlando Sentinel of the Foundation of Biomedical Research stated for cancer that 8 of the discoveries required the use of living animals. And virtually all of those did not use animals, all of those that did not use animals relied on the information gained from earlier animal studies. 6 of the discoveries were recognized with the Nobel Peace Prize. Sentinel also stated that according to the American Cancer Society, over the past 30 years, there have been over 24 advances to fight against cancer that involve animal testing. Animal testing has both saved animals and humans in different ways. Animal research for animal health have resulted in many life-saving and life-extending treatments for dogs, cats, farm animals, wildlife, endangered species. Some of these advances include pacemakers, artificial joints, organ transplants, vaccines, anthrax cures, rabies cures, tetanus, etc., which contribute to longer, happier, and healthier lives for humans and animals.
All right, let's stay on the hot seat. So, Stephen, let's have you cross-examine him first, and then we'll do number.
Okay, so you mentioned that there's like, it's like a board that examines what kind of animal, or like ethical treatment of animals going into like the vivisection sector.
It's according to guidelines set by the ethical conduct and care or use of non-human animals in research. Yes, they have to approve anything that's happening, and they're in favor of your side. So they're approving things that are happening in these facilities already.
What animals go through that process? Because I know that it's actually unknown how many animals are being tested upon, because the only numbers being matched are those of like larger mammals and those out of the rodent family and those that are warm-blooded, so like chimps, dogs, and cats. But things like rodents, small mammals, and like birds, they're unaccounted for as far as numbers go. Do they go through the process as well?
Don't worry.
So he's saying
This is long.
for this ethical
Yeah.
board that you're talking about, do the little rats and mice that they use, does that go through the same screening process of this ethical board that they do for chimps and
I mean, it's
little
for
critters?
all non-human animals in research, so I would have to assume so.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
because whenever I heard that, I just assumed it didn't count for the ones unaccounted for, because we don't know the numbers on those. So you also mentioned something about the animals that would die otherwise, like we have rat poison, and they have like their own interests and stuff. Why should we have the right to, I guess, kind of like intrude upon nature in a way? You know, like they would die anyway by like natural predators and stuff. Why should we be the ones to do it?
Well, most of the experimentations that happened on animals that I saw they were being bred in labs, and they were bred for those purposes, even genetically engineered for that. They weren't, and they're not supposed to be captured from the wild. They're supposed to be born in the lab and stay in the lab. And if they're released into the wild, it's extremely dangerous. You're not supposed to be teaching that.
I'm gonna help him out a little bit, because it's 2 against 1. So with your, I like the reasoning, Stephen, you're doing, I like it. And yeah, you know, we don't like to see any kind of critters suffer. But according to your line of reasoning then, how many of us have stepped on an ant, or crushed a spider, or accidentally stepped on a worm, or maybe killed a snake because we were afraid of it? So if you're saying that we don't have any right to intrude on any kind of animal life, well, what do we do with those pesky ants that are crawling on our food, or flies that are bugging us?
Actually, I was leading into this because I had a quote. It's from Brackens, another scientific journal called "Why Animal Studies Are Often Poor Predictors of Human Reactions to Exposure." He says the few systematic reviews of animal literature that have been done also pointed to the poor quality of other animal research and the difficulty of extrapolating from it to humans, the concern being the increasingly made in other fields of drug development and evaluation. In short, what he was also referencing is the fact that under the circumstances of the breeding of, like specific, muscular rats or whatever,
Yeah.
there's, based on the reviews given to these breeds, these conditions of living, it's not stable. Like there's not a stable living environment for them.
So what do you mean by it's not stable? Like,
As in,
the care for them?
Yeah, the care for them, it fluctuates a lot. So in many like scientific experiments, there's always like that control. The animals are not like the control. There's too much fluctuation with their living patterns as well as what they're being fed, stuff like that.
So you're saying that the studies then, that we're using these animals for are really, the results are kind of skewed and,
They're
okay.
skewed because it's too much variation between
Okay, what do you say about that one?
rats.
And while he's looking, what you could have said, is you could have said, stay within the lines of argument, we're talking about animal testing, okay? But I caught you on that because you were the one that expanded the definition of animals to all living things.
I was actually going to question you on that, Mike, because insects are not animals.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. So you could have caught me on that. Okay, so answer his question, and then we'll let Andrew have at it.
I mean, the way I see it is the more numbers of testing you have on something, the higher chance you have of getting a quality result.
Okay.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Okay, stay there, you're still on the hot seat, Andrew, your turn.
find any statistics about the social aspects between animals and humans being related. It's no.
The differences between them.
Yeah.
The only things I saw was really kind of what Steven talked about is that I think it's like, I think I saw 90, but 98% probably makes a little more sense to how effective it is to humans from animal research. I don't know if I know the physiological differences specifically.
So like, I remember, the City Animal Welfare Act is a lot more stricter, right?
What is?
The Animal Welfare Act is a lot more stricter, right?
Is that the
Yeah.
word you're talking
Yeah,
about? that
kind of
says-
like when you say like,
I'm-
sit federal law.
Yeah, I'm sure they're, I can't say for a fact they're stricter than what I had stated before. But
Can you like describe like, because I know you did talk about animal testing, and just want to know like, because there you said there's rules that certain like animals cannot be tortured and has to go like step by step process. Can you find any information about that? Or?
there was that federal website I found, it had 10 pages of just facts of things you cannot do to animals and things that had to be approved. And I mean, the one I said before is probably the most important one I found because it's comparing animal testing to human testing. I don't really know what to do with that.
Because, I mean, like, I know like there are laws being changed, but there's some people that do break the law at times.
Yeah.
But it's still really serious because when I researched, you know, from Regional Arts come up PETA, it's still like kind of like animals being tortured. Like some people will actually go to South Africa and actually capture chimpanzees and use them for research. But yeah, they do breed these animals, but
Yeah.
they still.
So my research was solely on professional facilities that conduct these experiments and not maybe some rogue facility that goes off and harms animals or goes to Africa and picks up a wild animal. There's professional facilities that are approved by our government to do these testing. So I mean, I'm not fighting for the ones that do the random tests that don't get caught. I don't prove that whatsoever.
Okay, all right, that's a good response. All right, we've done almost 3 minutes. All right, so now we got the 1 minute rebuttal. So Stephen, you'll go first, Andrew, then you'll go, and then you get the last word, Ryan. Okay, so you've got the 1 minute, this is where you got a full minute to restate your evidence and also your last chance to attack his
Is that Chris?
Okay.
Yes, it was Chris.
Just for arguments. Okay.
Oh, no.
That's why it helps to take
Ryan,
notes
Andrew,
during this
Steven.
process. So, because you're gonna
What's
get up there
Andrew's
once
at?
more, okay?
Who's one?
Yeah.
Ryan.
Okay, so in short, my argument is the fact that vivisection is cruel based on the fact that we don't necessarily have the rights to experiment on the animals and the fact that animals do experience fear, pain, depression, and trauma, long-lasting effects after the tests are being made. My second point is focused on the fact that vivisection is inefficient based on the fact that I kept saying 98, I meant 92% of drugs are found safe on the animals, but not necessarily in human trials. And over half of the 8% that do get passed through are withdrawn or relabeled due to unexpected side effects that are not otherwise seen in the animals. I also said that the reviews of animal literature as far as their living conditions in the labs are highly fluctuating and not good enough to be considered a control. Likewise, it's inefficient because we do have better medical experimentation ways to test medicines. However, the fact that national funding doesn't get funneled into it means it is not necessarily focused on. However, through private sectors such as, I didn't even write it down.
Okay,
but-
well, is there a good summary now? Is there anything, here's your last chance to attack Mike, is anything he said, his reasoning, evidence?
Totally had it at the very end. I didn't write it down.
Okay.
So no, I don't.
Okay,
You're
all right,
fine.
you got a minute now, so that's okay. All right, Andrew, your turn.
So if I could first say that even when he said about between trapping a mouse and using a mouse like for in an animal experiment is definitely kind of like the same thing. It's really not. In animal testing, it's totally something different. And, you know, I mean, I look at this and I say yes, you said, yeah, we do like support this, you know, you're very well, but here's the thing. What if there was like no animal testing? We could literally like eliminate that whatsoever. I found an article, I wish I definitely wrote this down, information right here, but I know it's from the PTA people, you know, it's people for the ethical treatment of animals. So like some fundraisers that are used for producing medicine diseases is used for producing funding for animal facilities being tested. And it's just absolutely crucial. And like we found like so many other discoveries, and like for example, you don't have to use animal, you can use like DNA, for example. From same thing, people ethical treatment animals says antibodies cannot be produced using DNA that's made in a laboratory taken from human cells, instead of injecting antibodies in cancer cells in mice, or from any animal, and from PTA website, of course, which is alternatives for animal testing. And this last thing I like to conclude is that he said even though it was strict, but you know, there's still torture happening to these animals, and all those facilities should have been already taken down. So I like to ask him, why has that not happened? Because I always check on Yahoo News, I found like severe news, and I've never found any kind of information anyone being busted for that. So I would like to know exactly why we just cannot just eliminate animal testing, because we do, we just like solve all these situations.
Okay, Ryan? See if you can answer that. I'll help you. Good questions, really good reasoning going on both sides.
So the last question you asked, stopping animal testing is not going to stop illegal animal testing. One way or another, animals are going to be tested upon, and there's going to be results that are going to help the welfare of human beings and for animals alike. Stephen, so I guess by whose standards besides yours is not approving of the testing of animals? The AICUC is a confirmed government animal rights activist group that approves these humane and appropriate testing of animals. So besides you, who's to say that's not okay? I guess in conclusion for myself, I think the current laws and standards for animal rights during experimentations for legal operations are held extremely high already and should not be subjected to further restrictions because their current moral values are already low.
All right, we still got 1 minute, 1 second, but I'm going to use that. So anybody, Paige, you had a comment? Anybody want to comment to help either side of the defense? Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking of like the main purpose of animal testing is to help humans, and human life goes above animal life in all ways. Like we eat animals, like we constantly are killing cows and pigs and sheep to eat for meat, and like so I think animal testing to save lives and to help even give us a better chance of having, you know, a cure or even an advancement is definitely worth.
You know, that's a good point about credibility. I never thought of that. So if we're meat eaters, then we can't really complain, right?
Which, one of his research papers he passed around was a vegan website. So, I mean, of course they're going to hate on anyone that does anything to animals, including eating them.
Yeah, yeah. One more comment.
There was one comment made, I think it was by, I'm sorry, I think it was by Stephen, said that the purpose, or the lives of animals are really stable in the labs. But I would think that they would be the most stable in the labs because they don't want to do like anything, they want it to be the most healthy so that they can get like the most accurate results
Good point too.
for the
Which is-
testing.
And out in the wild, then the endangered being eaten.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be killed anyway in the lab, so. Okay, thoughtful discussion. I really liked the reasoning on both sides. Good job.